Welcome everyone to a brand new podcast. Our topic for the day is the automation and digitization of supply chain in agri industry. For today's podcast, my guest is Mr. Anshuman Marodia. He is the Director of Supply Chain Operations for Pansies, India. Hi, Anshuman.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Anshuman?
Great, all good at my end as well.
Great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Anshuman, just to give a little brief about what we are going to discuss, I would want to discuss something like the value chain or the operations entailed in the value chain of seeds processing industry. Can you throw some light on that?
Right. So I'm from Pansies, and Pansies is basically a seeds company. So the value chain in a seed business is very different from a typical industry. So before getting into the value chain, what I'll just explain what makes the value chain a little tricky. There are two or three critical points. Like first is that there's a big lag between the sale and procurement. So basically, what I mean by that is that if if my sale is happening in April 23, I need to plan for it in April 22. And because planning is done 1 year in advance, it's quite tricky to get it right. The second part is that the goods we produce are highly perishable. So in case your forecast goes wrong, you may end up making losses because something that you produced at X may get sold at half of the price you paid for it. So the third point is that it's highly dependent on weather. When I plan my procurement, and in case there's bad weather during the harvest season, the entire planning goes for a toss, and you may not be able to achieve your targets. So these three factors actually play a very critical role in defining the value chain of the seed industry. So typically, what happens is that we receive a plan from the sales team based on which we create a procurement plan, and then we try and produce the goods as per the plan. Once the goods are produced, we receive it at our processing units, and there are certain conditions under which we store the goods. And before the start of the sales season, we process the goods and place it in the market as per the sales requirement. So in brief, this is the value chain that's there in the seed industry.
Okay. So, Anshuman, you mentioned that Pansies is into seed business and it has been there for about 50 years now, right?
Right.
So, you have seen a lot of things change in the market. How do you think digitization is shaping the way the market operates, at least for seed business?
So that's a good question, and I would say that seeds is probably one of the laggards in adopting digitization. We see a lot of digitization around us, but when we talk about seeds, because of the highly seasonal nature, it becomes very tricky to adapt digitization on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
But slowly and surely, what's happening is that people are getting acquainted with digital technologies, adopting it in their day-to-day operations, and all of that. So right from the field level, you when you are doing your production, when you're planning your contract farming, we are seeing that a lot of companies are using handheld devices to capture what's happening on the ground level.
Yes.
what used to happen earlier was that, there would be a field staff who would probably
Make a note of it. Yeah.
take a note on a piece of paper, then on a weekly basis or a fortnightly basis, update it on a computer or give it to a data entry operator who would probably enter it on his or her behalf.
Yes.
But now we are seeing that, a lot of people are able to capture live data of how their field condition is. So that helps managers. Then at the inventory level, also, if there's any movement, instead of writing it again on a piece of paper, what is happening is that people are able to enter live data.
Yeah.
On the packaging level, people are now printing QR codes. They are attaching QR codes to their inventory. Instead of having a lot wise inventory, they have an SKU wise inventory. I mean, packet wise inventory. So it's people are now maintaining packet wise inventory so that they have a better control of what's really happening. And even engagement, earlier it was more on the distributor level. Because of these kind of technologies and digitization, it's possible to engage with retailers and farmers directly. So these are a few of the major changes. Apart from that, there's the advent of e-commerce in pesticides and also vegetable seed. We haven't seen that much in field crops, but because probably it's a logistical challenge to deliver a 25 kg pack whose value is not so high. So so that's the digitization we are seeing. Yeah.
So, Pansies, what all is Pansies doing in terms of digitization? Which all areas are you really transforming with, digital technologies available right now?
So I would say we are not very advanced in our digital initiatives. We are trying to get there. We have tried a lot of things. Some of it has been successful, some of it hasn't been successful. So, like I said in the beginning, right, there's an application in which a field staff can enter uh, the field condition and update live data onto the system instead of writing it on a piece of paper. So we tried something on those lines, but it didn't work out well because because somehow the field staff was very comfortable using a pen and paper. The other challenge is that when they go to the field, they carry a notebook in which they have all the data. To get all that data on a screen, on a small screen, is very challenging. So 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 again, the question when we talk about digitization is that which digital technology will really work and really add value, what is required, what is not required, and it's a very tough question to answer. So so this was one place where we didn't really succeed in our digital initiative. One of the places where we are actually seeing some decent results is the retailer engagement and farmer engagement program. So that is good. Uh, Apart from that, we are also trying to digitize our order processing system, and also we will try to link our vegetable inventory to the physical inventory to the inventory we have in our system so that we can scan for dispatch. This is a new initiative we are planning to take in the near future because we feel that it'll be practical and we will avoid duplicate work. We will be able to implement concepts such as FIFO, which are great on paper, but in case you don't have these digital interventions, they are tough to implement.
Okay. Yes. So, in this regard, what do you think user companies or solution providers or SaaS based platforms can actually do in terms of increasing the digital adoption, at least with users on the ground, where they are very comfortable using papers and pens and making that manual effort. uh, what do you think that these companies can do in terms of increasing the adoption in the market?
So one of the great things which has already happened, like you said, there are a lot of these SaaS platforms now. Earlier, what used to happen was that, if you go to a company, ask them to build you a system or an application, it would be expensive. Not every company could afford it. Probably very big sized companies could afford to adopt or go ahead with these technologies. But with the SaaS model coming in, what happens is that even smaller and medium sized companies have access to the best of technology. So that is one of the great things that has already happened and which we are continuously seeing increase. And and I feel that with SaaS coming in and so many other players looking to digitize agriculture, we
Yes.
will definitely move forward. There will definitely be higher adoption of digital technologies
Yes.
at the ground level. But coming back to your question, what more can be done to ensure that there's better adoption? I think working more closely with the field staff is very much required because end of the day they are the users. What happens is that a lot of times the software is kind of made in an office without understanding really what's happening at the ground level. So till we don't really understand the pain point or the process that a person at the ground is following, there will always be leakages. So this is also one of the learnings we had in our production app implementation. We made it sitting in an office without really understanding what was the requirement of the team. So there was a lot to learn in that project also.
Okay. And what do you see, foresee that, what exactly is the future of all these technologies? What sort of data are you going to get out of it? What sort of analytics would these companies be looking at in the future?
So in terms of data, again, depending on the part of the value chain you are in, there's so much that can be done. So I'll give you a very simple example. In if we talk about inventory management today, what a lot of these big companies do is that they use past data to predict what kind of demand they will have in the near future. So what happens is that they don't overpack, they don't underpack, they kind of optimize their inventory level. In our seed business, doing this is very difficult because, like I said, it's so seasonal that
Yes.
the capacity of the factory is not high enough to meet a demand of a 15-day period. If I just want to pack as per the demand of the market.
Market.
So, so in other FMCG companies and all, they are already using data in this way. I think where seed companies can really use analytics or the data is A on the market side and B on the production side. It's very, very nascent till now. We haven't really seen much action in that space. But what I feel is that, something related, your apps could probably get linked to these weather stations, get more data on what kind of yields are expected. And based on that, you can manage your supply chain and plan your inventories better.
Anshuman, how is Pansies currently leveraging all these technologies in their operations or supply chain operations?
So again, going back, one of the things we really need to understand is how things have changed in the last 10 to 15 years to understand how we are benefiting from technology. So just to give a bit of context, 15 years back, we were probably operating from one plant. We had a very limited geography in which we were operational. Our sales team was very small. So managing things even without technology, just with people, without properly defined processes, was not so difficult. अगर किसी को, if someone wants to know what the inventory position is, they can just give a call to the head office or the plant, and they can manage it. But with a large team of over 50 salespeople, who's going to answer so many calls and who's going to keep track of so many SKUs with uh, multiple warehouses across different sales areas? How do you communicate to each and every salesperson what the inventory position is? So this is where technology has really helped us. So in the beginning, we were just probably using an Excel sheet where the inventory used to get updated. But then we started using an ERP solution. So we defined a few processes so that the inventory could get automatically captured and updated in the system when we had multiple warehouses, so that no one would have to manually compute what the inventory is in each warehouse and then give an update to the sales team. Next came automation in terms of information. Now, whatever information we have on our system can automatically get sent to the sales team. Anytime a distributor order gets punched in, the distributor can receive a message that your order has been punched in. Every time a truck leaves the plant, the distributor knows that his truck is on the way. So spreading of information in a very efficient manner has also helped in ensuring that people have the right information at the right time, which in a way is absolutely critical to make sure that they are empowered. In case they don't have the information, how are they going to take decisions? So so in terms of technology, these are a few of the basic things we are trying to get right. And like I told you earlier, we are also trying to collect a lot of data in terms of our in terms of our production to sort of optimize how much to produce, where to produce, what to produce, because inventory management is a huge challenge in our business. On the market side, also, we are trying to engage more with uh, our customers at all levels, collect more data through digital means, and see what is the best way to really engage with them, because there's no one correct method or no proven method of ensuring that you get the best result. These are all work in progress, and as long as there's improvement with technology, we will always kind of look at newer technologies and how we can improve ourselves.
Can you talk more about your personal journey? What all have you done in your life? What all interesting projects you've done, and how do you plan to transform the business, as well as, how are you leading this entire division at Pansies?
So it's a funny story actually. We basically run a family business, and I studied in Singapore. Actually studied economics and finance, and I had no plans of coming into the agriculture space, but I did end up coming into the family business, and I started learning the ropes of supply chain. So so I found it very interesting. I found the challenges uh, are quite interesting, and I feel that there's so much scope in this space in terms of ensuring that you can optimize the processes, make sure that make sure that all the key elements of the supply chain are aligned, because there are a lot of moving parts. It's not a typical supply chain where you just place an order, you receive the material, you pack it, and you send it. There's a lot more in this segment. So so that is how I got into supply chain. It was not a very obvious path for me, but uh, but it's a lot of fun to work in supply chain at Pansies. Yeah, a few of the very interesting workshops and projects that we've done at Pansies is a we did a lean workshop a couple of years back with Mr. Ganesh Mahadevan. He's he's practiced a lot of these lean principles, and we engaged with him at our plant, and it's really interesting, and basically lean is all about reducing waste, how you can get rid of any non-value added in a activity in a process. And the definition of non-value added is basically anything that the customer would not pay for. So supposing you are packing a 3 kg packet, is the customer going to pay you for weighing that 3 kg packet? No, he is just paying you for the material in it. So the only value added job is actually when the material gets put in that packet. Anything else, the sealing, stitching, weighing, all of that is non-value added activity. So you need to try and reduce uh, time using some kind of automation, some kind of technology, some kind of process change, and that's really interesting. And what's even more interesting is that this is not applicable just to a manufacturing setup. Even say in finance and accounts, or HR, or sales, or logistics, there are so many processes where you can remove non-value added activity using technology to become more and more efficient. So we did a lot of these workshops, and there were a lot of good results that we got out of it. And the best thing that came out of it was that the entire team in our plant and our logistics, and to some extent even our procurement and production team, all of them got aligned to these values, and and now they are driving a lot of new initiatives themselves, and and it's great. We are getting really good results. This was one of the best projects that we did over the last couple of years. So this was interesting. Then, like I was telling you, there's so much more scope to work on newer projects in supply chain. We are trying to engage with some packaging consultants to see how we can get more advantage on that front. Yeah, so there are a lot of things that we can do basically.
All right. So I think Anshuman, we have been working together for about 2 years now. We O4S as a brand and Pansies.
Right.
We've run multiple projects together. We've been working constantly improving our product as per the feedback that we get from Pansies. So how has your experience been engaging with us?
So it's been very interesting, and O4S has always been very supportive. They have understood our needs patiently. They have a very clear implementation path, and the process is quite straightforward. They don't try to overcomplicate things. So that is great. And the great thing is also that your software is customizable to our needs. It's not a one
Exactly.
size fits all solution. There is scope to make tweaks and changes so that our model can fit into your solution. So that is one of the better things that is probably not there with other solutions of similar kind. And uh, and and we've engaged on multiple projects. I think the most successful ones have been to do with the market engagement, and in future, like I said, we also want to link our inventory to our system. So that is work in progress. We'll see how
Yes.
that goes.
Okay, I think Anshuman, it was a great learning process while engaging with you, at least in terms of OFRS engagement with Pansies. And we have made a lot of changes in our product and our features,
Right.
as per whatever feedback we got from your operations team or from you. And yeah, I think that is how we've actually shaped our entire products, whether it is the retailer engagement platform or the consumer engagement platform. I think a lot of feedback came from Pansies
Right.
and their operations team. Yeah. So, so on that note, I think we can conclude this podcast.
Yup, we can.
Thank you so much for your time, Anshuman. It was a great, I think it was a very interesting story that you told us about your journey and how you're shaping up the supply chain operations at Pansies. Uh, it was great interacting with you also. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast.
Please like, comment, and subscribe to
To
this
this
channel.
channel. Thank you, Anshuman. Thank you so much for your time. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure interacting with you. Thanks.